Hey y'all, how you doing today? All right, we're back out in the garage, but I'm heading out to go work on the Ramcharger again. This time I'm going to be putting in the radiator hoses, and some coolant, and I'm also going to take the top off that carburetor and see why the float was sticking and just dumping fuel in there the last time I fired it here on the channel. Um, so just got done cutting some metal, so safety glasses, good idea. I always should have some. I've got several myself. So okay, it's a little cloudy out there, so I'm taking these lights so that you all can see easily what's going on, and I'm going to show you some bits about Mopar radiators, especially from the 60s on up through 70s and 80s. Okay. I tell you what, it might be easier to show you on this reproduction parts store replacement radiator. Let's just say that. That's better. Okay. Flip this around here so you can see it. As you can see right here, we have our mounting flange. Okay. You can see this is, you got several bolt holes here. You even got a slot down here where there was a bolt. You can see the traces of where a bolt was at previously. See that circular rusty mark? There's one down there too as well. See, so what I'm trying to tell you is you can use those marks to help locate the radiator. Now, a couple of things you want to do: new or old radiator, use whatever, don't matter. You want to, this one, I'm probably going to clean it out, try to clean it out as best I can before I use this one. You want to clean out the fins as best you can. This one here's got a lot of dirt and crud all over, but the new radiator, of course, you don't have to worry about those two items, but you will be needing to do that with used, of course. But most of your Mopar radiators are going to have this kind of mounting system here. Okay, that's from like 60s on up through the 80s and even into some of the 90s models, especially on the pickup trucks. So, thought I'd show you that. Let's get out here and get to looking at the Ramcharger. So, I'll be right back in just a minute, okay? Alright, y'all, I'm back. Just cleaned some debris out of this thermostat housing right there. Wanted to show you this little modification I had to make to the radiator down here. You see, let's see, wait a minute. Okay. And you see down there, you see that L-shaped cut I made on the radiator. See if I can point it out. It's right, dang it. See, it's right down there, and it just clears the frame rail right here because it was not clearing earlier. So I wanted to point that out. Just something to keep in mind when you're swapping some of these radiators around on some of these older Mopars and stuff. Okay. So next, but you can also see the mounting system right here. Sorry, you see and then down there you see the hole down there. That bolt is already in it. I got one bolt over here in this one. I got another one down here. So go ahead and do that. Usually on these radiators, they usually have these large bolts like this. Okay. So let me try to set you all up here so you can at least see a little bit of what I'm doing and get some idea of what's going on. Okay, there's that. And let's see. Then over here, got the bolt hole down here. We got a. Now, don't be alarmed when you have to move the radiator around just a little bit. Let's see. Okay, I see it down there now. Helps if you have some light, you know. So let's set y'all down here for just a minute. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. I think most of the time those bolts are 7/16. So I'll go ahead and run them down here real quick. Oops, forgot my socket. Okay. Socket stayed on the bolt there, so it's okay. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and hook this up here real quick. If I can. It's kind of hard to do some of this stuff one-handed, you know what I mean? Sucker is not going to cooperate with me at all. I think we'll have to very gently bend this upward just a little bit. I think it's maybe gotten pushed down. Yeah, I think it has. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go ahead and throw these hoses on real quick. And, oh, before I go any further, I didn't do this radiator up front because I wanted to do the fuel filter down there and the fuel lines and all of that, because it was just easier to do all of that without the radiator being in the way. Okay, so that's why I did it this way. So here we go. But let's see. Here we go. There's not a lot of good places to set the camera up here so y'all can see what's going on, but maybe we can just do it here. This particular radiator is a 3-rail cord that come out of like an 83, I think, Dodge pickup. So, all right. Now, some people will say that the spring hose clamps are the better ones to use. I tend to disagree with that. Because of the fact that I have had a significant amount of trouble with them. And I've had them, like, when they are tensed up, they will snap off. And when they do, believe you me, it is very, very dangerous. So, don't take that stuff for granted, okay? It is those spring type hose clamps. If I had one here, I'd show you what I'm talking about. But they're really dangerous stuff. You know, I've had one pop off and hit me in the face, and which they can very easily hit you in the eye if you're not careful. So just you know, do the smart thing and wear some safety glasses, or I like the screw type hose clamps. They usually work pretty good for me. But you may be one of those that likes the spring type hose clamps. Well, to each their own. Yeah, I'm very okay with that. So let's see. Anytime you're doing this, you may have to put some kind of something on the outlet down here, and also on the neck here on the water pump. Okay, when you're putting hoses on. But I just remembered something I want to do. I want to flush some water through the radiator real quick, and see if I can get any contaminants or trash out of there. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, we're back. I'm just running some water through here, just regular old water out of the water hose. Thought I'd do that, and just to see what's going to happen. Had some trash come out of there earlier. Nothing in the way of rust, sort of like just old antifreeze or stuff like that. So not a big deal. I will probably be putting just straight water in this at first, and then later go into some sort of antifreeze. So that's what we'll do. So now I like to put the hose clamps facing me, where I can access them, facing the front of the vehicle, or upwards, where I can access them and get access to them pretty easily. So here, okay. I think I can slide that hose clamp up there, but maybe I can't. That thing's kind of small. Oh man. Okay, it's starting to rain out here, but I'm gonna stick with it and just stick it out. Okay? Stick it out as long as I can, let's just say that. Alright. Here we go. So okay, I'm back this off just a little bit so I can slide it on up on there. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, we're back. Got another light out here, so maybe we can see a little bit better. As you can see right here, this hose is a little bit too long for this application, which that's okay. That's not a problem. All right, what we'll do is I'll just cut some of this off here so that I can fit this on here, and I won't have a kink or a bind or a bend, that's too severe. So let me and cut that son of a gun. Probably won't be able to do it one-handed, so I'm going to have to pause it again. I do apologize. Well, maybe I can do it here. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a little bit off right here. Now, you might be wondering about these things right here. There's nothing to be concerned about right there. That's just a little tie that they use to hang that up in the parts store. So it's not a big deal. And usually your thermostat neck or your radiator neck will be covering that. Here we go. There we go. Got it going my way now. All right. Okay, that's wonderful. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Okay. Now, another thing I wanted to point out, make you aware of, is here on these, you'll notice on this neck here for the radiator, you have this little ridge right here. This is very important. You want to make sure when you slide your hose up on here that you feel that through the hose. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Somebody recently just gave me some new hose clamps, so I'm going to use them. But, yeah, see, put it here on the thermostat housing first. Let's see. Okay. You want to be careful maneuvering the hose up onto there, because you can cause the hose to break off this neck off the radiator. So you want to be gentle. You don't want to be coming in here like, you know. Okay, you want to come in here somewhat gentle. All right. And you want to make sure your hoses clear everything. They're not rubbing up against stuff. I have a slight little rub. I'm going to have a slight little rub right here, but I'm going to take use an old trick. I'm going to take another piece of old hose and cut it and put it right here to keep that hose, that heater hose, from rubbing a hole in this. And besides that, this heater hose needs to be replaced anyway. So, all right, so again, I'm going to run these clamps down to where they are facing me. When I work on the vehicle, I can just simply see them, put a screwdriver or a nut driver or something on there, and just tighten them down or loosen them up. Okay, now I'm going to show you something here real quick. You see that bulge right there? Okay, the clamp comes down and it tightens down. You see there's a little bit of hose just beneath the clamp. That's good. That's what you want. Okay, and then you see the bulge right here. That's from that ridge. See, you can see it right here too. That's from that ridge I pointed out on that neck. Okay, see, now down here, I want to make sure nothing is rubbing. I'm going to rub the hose. You want to make sure you don't kink the hose as well. See, we've got clearance from a fuel pump, brackets, fuel filter, fuel lines, and the belts. So we're good to go on that. All right. Now, another thing. When you are putting in an older radiator into a vehicle, a used radiator, you might want to fill it with water first. That way, if there is a leak, you can go back and repair it later and you're not leaking out expensive coolant. Okay? I'm not saying water's necessarily cheap, but it's cheaper than antifreeze. Okay? Now, however, You know, keep in mind the area you're doing all of this in and the weather. So if you are in parts of the country where it's still pretty cold, then you want to be aware of that. Now, of course, you're seeing some water there on the front. That's just from the overflow. You also want to do this, especially on engines that's been sitting for a long time. All right, hear that? That's air pockets, air bubbles coming out of the cooling system. So we want to see that. We want to hear that. Okay? We want to hear that and see that. All right, see down in there? We've got, yeah, we've got a little bit of buildup on the inside the tank. Okay, but that's good. See those bubbles coming up? Those are releasing the bubbles that's in the cooling system. Okay, in the water jackets and everything. Now I covered a lot of this, you know, when I'm like working on the Avenger in my videos, so you can go back to those videos and you can look at that. Which I know some people might be like, well, hey, you're working on an Avenger. How does that apply to what I'm working on? I'm working on, you may be working on a Toyota or something, and that's fine. That's good. There's nothing. What I'm trying to tell you is that anytime somebody's working on a vehicle, try to pay attention to what they're doing, because there's going to be stuff that you can learn. Even though they're working on a vehicle that's different than yours, sometimes there's stuff you can learn from what they're doing, and you can apply that to what you're doing. Okay? So don't, discount somebody because they're working on something that you don't understand, or you don't get, or you don't have anything like that in your fleet, I guess you could say. Okay? So, maybe only one vehicle in your fleet, but it's your fleet. Okay? So, that's what I'm talking about. A lot of little tips here and a lot of little tricks to do. But yes, you are looking correctly. That valve cover does not have bolts in it. I will be putting bolts in it, so don't lose your cool. Another thing you want to do, just squeeze the hoses. You'll hear air sometimes, or you'll see air coming out of down there. You see air bubbles coming out. So let's see. Can we get? All right. So I'm trying to get you all to see there. I'm trying to squeeze this bottom radiator hose. Did you hear that? That's air. Now, sometimes if you can leave this for 2 or 3 hours, there was a little bubble right there. If you can leave this for 2 or 3 hours and then come back to it, sometimes that's even better. So, okay, I'm gonna get a couple screwdrivers, and I'm gonna take the top of this carburetor apart. Take the top of this carburetor off because it was severely overfueling, and I really didn't want that to happen, but it is. And so I'm assuming the floats are stuck right here. So I'm going to take the top of this off, and we're going to see what's going on. So, all right. Yeah, let's see. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get some screwdrivers. Okay, y'all. I just looked and I realized my video is getting over 24 minutes. So I do apologize about that. Just a lot of good information there to pass along. I wanted to, show you all what's going on here. One other thing to keep in mind, I'm trying to straighten something out down here. This little neck here for the little nipple for the overflow. It was kind of bent down just a little bit. May have gotten bent down when I was moving this thing around in the garage. Okay, here we go. Here we are. Ah, yeah, look at there. Like a glove. Okay. Anyway, oh, and I got made myself, that's that little piece of hose I cut off, so I just took it and I just put it right here to keep it from rubbing through the radiator hose. But like I said, I'll be replacing this heater hose later, so not too big a deal. One thing to remember on these Mopars, these bypass hoses, they are a little difficult to replace, especially on the Magnum engines. They're really difficult to replace. So, you know, on the Magnum, they're pretty much a straight design, or they still have a kink to them, a hook, you know, a kind of a 90-degree hook to them like this one does, but they come out differently. They come out more towards the center of the water pump. But something to keep in mind, a lot of your Mopar small block, LA small blocks, and the Magnum small blocks use this, or use one like this, and it's very important, you know, change that out every so often. This one's been changed out, so I'm not going to worry about that. All right, I'm gonna cut this video off, and I'm going to come back to you on another video about taking the top of that carburetor off and looking at those floats and seeing what's going on. Okay? All right. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, for all that you do. I really do appreciate it. All the likes and the shares and all of that. It's amazing. And so I really, really appreciate that. So thank you very much, and God bless.